Hi, this is Gila. So tomorrow, the 2nd of April, is Tommy Robinson's court case in Luton for apprehending a man who sexually assaulted his 8-year-old daughter and preventing him from leaving before the police actually arrived. Tommy does not want anyone to come. Obviously, with coronavirus, that would not be a sensible thing to do, and people need to remain at home. Let's hope that right will actually prevail, that the case against Tommy is dropped, and the real criminal, the man who assaulted his daughter, is brought to justice. But will that actually happen? We'll see. In these times of coronavirus, it is so important to follow the restrictions, which are for everyone's benefit. Yesterday, I did have to go out, and I had my temperature taken each time. I went to a different place, which was actually 3 different places. Fortunately, it was fine, so I was able to proceed and do what I needed to do. I wore a mask. Finally, I received a small packet I'd ordered a few weeks ago from Sri Lanka, but I actually was able to buy some locally too. When I spoke to my brother, who lives in England, he told me he hadn't been able to get hold of any. So if that's the case for you and you have to go out, I would suggest wearing a clean scarf around your nose and mouth, which actually will help protect other people, just in case there's any potential risk from you. I don't think the world will ever be quite the same after this. And maybe this time is an opportunity to restore sanity and to realize that the family is actually the most important and beneficial human social unit. That is, a mother and a father in a committed and exclusive relationship and their children. There's a huge difference between having the freedom to live your life and to be intimate how you choose with another consenting adult, which of course needs to be respected. That's your right. And forcing what, frankly, are unnatural bodily practices that our bodies are not really designed for, if you think about it, as a norm that needs to be accepted as such by everyone, and that acceptance is more important than many people's deeply held religious beliefs, which actually regard such physical practices as morally wrong. And also sanity regarding immigration and the protection of the cultural norms of most British people. Again, everyone, of course, should have the right to practice their religion or none at all, and to speak free and openly expressing and arguing about their opinions. There is no right not to be offended by another person's opinion. For instance, recent research shows a great deal of evidence that the early history of Islam as understood from Islamic sources, which were not actually written down for at least some 200 years after the death of Muhammad, is factually incorrect. Archaeologist Dan Gibson has produced compelling evidence that, from the alignment of early mosques, that the first Islamic Mecca was actually the Nabatean city of Petra, and that Muslims have accordingly been praying in the wrong direction for many centuries. Some modern scholars have also found that there are thousands of differences in various early Qurans, which still exist from the accepted version, and there's considerable evidence that the Quran was gradually put together over a considerable time, starting from even before the lifetime of Muhammad, and that it wasn't completed in its final form until the 8th century at the very earliest. And today there are still some variants between over 20 modern editions of the Quran. Certainly not a divinely ordained perfect book which has never changed. Now, the logical response to such scholarly findings from any Muslim who seriously wants to do God's will would surely be to find out more about these discoveries and then to decide for themselves whether to continue to believe as they have done. respecting another person's right to live as they believe they should, so long as they're not harming other people, is one thing. But actually physically threatening to injure or even to murder another human being because that person has simply criticized and questioned Islam as a belief system is outside any remit of free speech and is completely unacceptable. And those parts of Islamic political ideology which command faithful Muslims to abuse or murder non-adherents simply because of their beliefs are not only deeply objectionable, but frankly, morally wrong. And we have every right to say so. Certainly we should do. And as for myself, I don't accept the theology of Christianity either. But on a personal level, if you actually follow the teachings of the New Testament, you are definitely going to become a better and kinder person over time. Tragically, the opposite is true for anyone who follows the later commandments regarding the treatment of non-Muslims, as recorded in the Quran and Hadith. And we have, or should have, every right to say so. So, speak out for common sense and human decency. Sure, we need to respect the rights of other people, to disagree, to live their lives as they choose, so long as they're not harming other people. But objectionable thought policing in the name of supposed political correctness needs to end completely for all our sakes. We're never going to agree on everything, nor should we. We're all different. We're human beings. Thank you so much for listening. Please keep safe. Please don't go out unless you really have to, and then take all the precautions to protect yourself and also other people. Take care. All the best. Goodbye.